Right now, somewhere in the back of your mind, a task is waiting. Maybe it's an email you never sent, a conversation that ended too soon, a message you left unread. You're not actively thinking about it, but it's there, quietly pulling at you. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later, and yet it keeps surfacing in the shower, on your commute, at 3 in the morning when you should be asleep. It feels like a personal flaw, a sign that you can't relax, can't switch off, can't let go. But the real answer is far stranger. That nagging loop isn't a weakness in your mind. It's one of its oldest features. Your brain is running a program written long before you were born. And once you understand it, you'll never see an unfinished task the same way again. Let's go back 100 years to a busy cafe in Vienna in the 1920s. A young psychologist is sitting at a table watching the waiters work. Her name is Bluma Zygarnik, and she notices something strange. The waiters can hold enormous orders in their heads, dozens of items, table after table, all without writing a single thing down. But there's a catch. The moment a bill is paid, the memory vanishes. Ask a waiter about an order he served just minutes ago, and he stares back blankly. The finished order is gone. The unpaid one stays razor sharp. Why would your brain cling to what's unfinished and drop what's done? Zygarnik took that question into the laboratory. She gave people a series of small tasks, puzzles, beadwork, little clay figures, simple problems to solve. Some she let them finish, others she interrupted halfway through and quietly moved them on to the next thing. Then, later, she asked them to recall everything they'd done. The result was striking. People remembered the interrupted tasks about twice as well as the completed ones. The unfinished work clung to memory. The finished work simply faded. It didn't matter how hard the task was or how long it took. What mattered was whether it was allowed to end. In 1927, she published her findings, and the pattern took her name: the Zygarnik effect. But why does it happen at all? Her mentor had a theory. His name was Kurt Lewin. When you begin a task, he believed, your mind creates a kind of tension. A goal, once opened, becomes a small system under pressure. And that pressure keeps the goal alive, humming quietly at the edge of your attention. Finish the task, and the tension releases. The system closes. Your mind lets go, but leave it open, and the pressure stays. Your brain, in a sense, refuses to forget. It keeps the file open on your mental desk, cluttering your attention until the job is finally done. It isn't nagging you to punish you. It's holding your place so you don't lose the thread. Then a colleague pushed the idea further. Her name was Maria Ovzonkina. She interrupted people mid-task and then quietly gave them the chance to walk away. Most of them didn't. With no reward, no instruction, no reason at all, people drifted back to finish what they'd started. Some returned to a task they'd been pulled away from an hour before. The pull to complete was almost physical. Decades later, a researcher named Kenneth McGraw ran a version that's hard to forget. He gave people a difficult puzzle. Then, just before they could crack it, he told them the study was over. They were free to leave. Nearly 9 in 10 stayed anyway. They kept working, unpaid, unwatched, purely to finish the thing. The need to close the loop was stronger than the instruction to stop. For a long time, this looked like a simple story about memory. Then, in 2011, 2 researchers changed the picture entirely. Their names were Roy Baumeister and E.J. Masicampo. They found that unfinished goals don't just sit quietly in memory. They actively hijack your attention. In their studies, people asked to think about an important unfinished task performed worse on completely unrelated jobs right afterward. Their focus leaked. Their reading slowed. The open loop was draining them, even when they weren't consciously thinking about it. But here's the strange part. Baumeister and Masacampo tried one small change. They asked people to make a specific plan for the unfinished task. Not to do it, just to decide when, where, and how. And the moment the plan was made, the intrusive thoughts stopped. The mental pull faded. Their focus on other tasks came flooding back. Your brain, it turned out, wasn't demanding that you finish the task. It was demanding a plan. It only needed to know the loop would eventually be closed. Given a credible promise, it finally let go. The tension had never been about the work itself. It was about the uncertainty of how it would end. Now look at your own life through this lens. The open browser tabs, the half-read books, the projects paused at 40%, the message you keep meaning to answer. Each one is a tiny open loop, quietly humming for your attention. And there are hundreds of them. Your ancestors live with only a handful of unfinished tasks. Track this animal, repair this tool, reach that shelter before the light fails. The loops were few, and they closed. The mind that remembered the unfinished hunt was the mind that ate, so the pull to finish became wired deep into you. But that same wiring never expected the modern world, a world that hands you an endless supply of things you start and never finish. This is why a cliffhanger works. The story stops mid-scene, the loop stays open, and you press play on the next episode against your own will. It's why a notification you can't check gnaws at you. It's why you remember the argument you never resolved far longer than the ones you settled long ago. The mind keeps replaying it, searching for an ending that never came. And the people who design your apps understand this effect intimately. The unread badge, the unfinished profile, the progress bar frozen at 90%. Each one is an open loop, engineered to keep pulling you back. A hook built from a 100-year-old discovery about the shape of your attention. So what do you do with a mind built this way? You don't fight it. You work with it. When a task starts pulling at you, you don't have to finish it on the spot. You just have to give your brain what it's actually asking for. A plan, a time, a place. Write it down. Decide the very next step. Close the loop, even if only on paper. The tension isn't your enemy. It's a signal, an ancient one. It's telling you that something you opened is still waiting to be closed. That same signal kept your ancestors alive. It finished their tools, their hunts, their shelters, and it's still running inside you, right now, doing exactly what it was built to do. So the next time a task waits quietly in the back of your mind, pulling at you in the shower, on your commute, at 3 a.m, don't call it a flaw. It isn't a sign that you can't let go. It's the oldest part of your mind, keeping a promise. Just tell it when you'll close the loop, and watch how quickly it lets you rest.